Hello there, everyone. It's been a long time, and I have been continuously getting so many requests from your side to make videos for class 11. So, welcome to my channel. And today's video is all about the chapter Discovering Tut. So, without wasting a second, let's get started. Now, the name of the chapter is Discovering Tut. The saga continues. Now, first and foremost, firstly, and I would like to say that it's a thing of most importance that many of the people pronounce this name as Tut. Some people pronounce it as Tut. It's both the ways it's correct. So I rather prefer pronouncing him as Tut. So here in this chapter, we are trying to find out, we are trying to discover how Tutankhamun, the last Egyptian pharaoh, died. If you have paid attention, the name of the chapter is Discovering Tut, the saga continues. Saga, it's a story, never ending story. And why this never ending story is, it continues. It continued for a very long period of time. That's what we are trying to discover in this chapter. Because Tut, the last Egyptian pharaoh, he ruled around 1330 BC. And the actual mystery was unraveled. The mystery how he died, it was unraveled in the year 2007. The account here ends with a question mark, because as you will be reading it, you will find that it is written in the year 2005. And what did I say? The mystery got unraveled in the year 2007. So let's see. Let's try and discover Tut, how he died, why he is such a mysterious pharaoh, and what sort of questions and queries kept on troubling the archaeologists and so many other people. The forensics department was even unable to make out the actual reason for his death. So the accounts takes us back to the year 2005 in one of the Egyptian cemetery. This is 5 January 2005. So many tourists from all over the world, they have collected to one of the Egyptian cemeteries. And why these tourists have assembled? Because Tut's mummy was going to be reopened. Now, what's a mummy? Egyptians used to believe that there is life after death. So they used to mummify their dead. The royal people, the kings, prince, and all the royal people, they were preserved. And the system, the way, the manner in which bodies were preserved by these Egyptians, it is called as mummy. And definitely Tut, being the last pharaoh, he was also mummified. And so many things were there inside his coffin. All that is going to be unraveled here. The account takes us to the year 2005. So many people from all over the world, they were keenly waiting to see this historical event, that Tut's mummy would be reopened. I repeat, reopened. So the question is, when was it opened for the first time? It was opened in the year 2022, precisely, by Mr. Howard Carter. Before I tell you about Howard Carter, let's talk about the year 2005. The tourists were keenly waiting for the mummy to be reopened, and then some of them, they were trying to look at the murals, the wall paintings, and they were curious, and some of them were worried, trying to pass their time waiting for the mummy to be opened, while some of them were worried that maybe a curse might fall on them because they were disturbing the mummy. So many superstitious views are related to that. I'm sure you must have watched so many movies about all these mummies. So here we go. After that, we are taken to the year 1922 when British archaeologist Howard Carter, who opened the mummy for the first time. I would like to tell you here that this is not the first time in the year 2005 that it is opened. It is reopened. So we are told that who was the first archaeologist who opened it? That was in the year 1922. Howard Carter, a British archaeologist who was bitterly criticized because he was not careful in handling the contents of the mummy. We are very much aware that Tut, being the last pharaoh, his mummy was full of precious things, golden collars, necklaces, golden slippers, sandals, clothes, all sort of other precious things, and Carter literally left it ransacked. And so for that he was really criticized because he mishandled the mummy. So after that we come to know more information is given to us about the mummies, that how Egyptians believed in life after death. So they used to mummify their ancestor, and Tut was definitely, as being the last pharaoh, he was also mummified. We come to know that Howard Carter opened the three-nested coffin of Tut. Three-nested coffin, let me explain that to you why it has been called as three-nested. Because firstly, the coffin box was there, then a layer of raisins was put so that the mummy would keep on sticking to the bottom. And then Tut's body, the mummy, it was wrapped in golden sheet and put on it with the iconic golden mask. And the third layer was of petals, lotus petals, all sort of flowers, vegetables, and other things which were there at that particular season when he was buried. We come to know more about that all these things like celery, lotus petals, cornflowers, all these are an evidence to the fact that the burial was done in somewhere in March or April. So coming back to Carter, Howard Carter, who opened the mummy for the first time in 1922, he had a challenge. That was the mummy kept on sticking to the bottom and he had to take it out in order to give his study. So what he decided that he should be keeping it back in sun so that the raisins would melt. Egypt being a very hot place, it's blazing hot, but then also the raisins did not melt. Finally, Carter and his team, they had no other way. They had to chisel, they had to make use of chisel. And the raisins were removed and the mummy was taken out. Then we come to know that he started investigating, and as the saga continued till the year 2007. So he was also unable to make out the actual reason of Tut's death. But Carter was again and again criticized for mishandling the mummy. We come to know that years after he opened the mummy, one of the anatomy professors declared that Tuts, not only the jewelry, the things made up of gold and other things were not there, were missing, were mishandled, but also his ribs were missing and even his breastbone. And for that, Carter was considered responsible. Coming back to the year 2005, when this account is written, the person, the archaeologist who's responsible, who's leading this event, of opening the mummy, that is Mr. Zahi Hawass. As we are given in the book that he belongs to the department of, he's the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. So Mr. Zahi Hawass in the year 2005 was given this responsibility. He was handling this project of making out that how Tut died. But as we read the chapter, we are also given the history of Tut ancestors. We are told that his father or grandfather, he was Amenhotep III. Then we are given information about Amenhotep IV, and we are told that there were two prominent gods at that time, that was Aten and Amun, Aten being sun god. So as these rulers, they were the followers of, some of them they were the followers of Aten, while some of them they were the followers of Amun. So they kept on changing their names. You will be reading various names which will tell you, like Akhenaten tells us that Aten being there at the end of it, and there is one more name, with Amun at the end. You can find all these details in the text. Tutankhamun, you'll see in the textbook. And Amun and Aten in the end tell us that these were basically these rulers. They worshipped Amun and Aten, So different rulers they believed in. They had different beliefs. One believed in sun god and the other believed in Amun. And finally, we come to know that Tut reigned for a very short period of time and then he died. Now, so many questions were asked about him because he died only when he was a teenager. He was the last pharaoh. Now, people thought that he was murdered because natural death would not be possible at such an early age. So all sort of discoveries were, done. All the archaeologists kept on reopening the mummy, and forensics also tried to give their report, according to the study of the archaeologists, but there was no conclusion. So the mystery was not unraveled. So this time, Mr. Zahi Hawass and his team, they took out the mummy, put it in the CT scanner, and the image appeared on the computer screen. Firstly, there were pixel dots, and that those dots got converted finally into a big, the full complete human body. But unfortunately, Mr. Zahi Hawass and his team, they also could not come to any conclusion that how Tut died. So the chapter, which is generally, would be the problem of all of you, it does not solve the mystery of Tut's death. Discovering Tut, the saga continues. So here in this chapter, we were trying to find out how he died, but we did not get any answer. And what did Mr. Zahi Hawass do? He and his team, they kept the mummy back again. And Zahi Hawass was relaxed that the entire operation, the entire event was successfully done. So now, friends, I would like to tell you that in the year 2007, this mystery was finally unraveled, and the world now knows it, that Tut died a natural death because of knee fracture. And one of the thing, we find the first, his DNA reports tell us, he might be the first person who was affected by malaria, which is a very common disease nowadays. So his DNA also revealed the signs of that. So his death was natural, and that's all.